Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede, and we begin with two stories that I believe are related. The move by Governor DeSantis to fly 50 Venezuelans to Martha's Vineyard, and a report by the Anti-Defamation League chronicling the disturbing rise of white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups in Florida. So let's start with the decision by DeSantis to spend Florida taxpayers' money to send a chartered plane to Texas to pick up a group of Venezuelan asylum seekers and fly them to the tiny island of Martha's Vineyard and leave them at the airport without notifying anyone they were coming. They had reportedly been tricked to get onto the planes by telling them they were going to Boston and promising them work visas when they arrived. Maria Corina Vegas is a Venezuelan American and the Deputy State Director for the American Business Immigration Coalition Action, a nonpartisan group working on immigration reform. I asked for her reaction to what DeSantis did this week.
It breaks my heart. It makes me indignant. I mean, this is frankly un-American. I mean, immigrants in this country and in Florida, you know, especially Venezuelans, have made immense contributions and continue to make immense contributions. And I think that at a time where we are facing an inflation caused by major labor shortages, you know, the governor is choosing to put politics over the economy, and it's just shameful.
The governor would argue that what he's doing by doing this is putting a spotlight on President Biden's what he considers failed immigration policies. And certainly we've seen problems at the border in terms of an increase in the flow of folks coming across the border asking for and seeking asylum.
Yeah.
Is this the way to try to draw attention to that issue? Is he right?
I don't think this is the way to draw attention to this issue. This is just a political stunt. I mean, and clearly he's been successful, but that's what it is. It's a stunt, and it's really, you know, I guess beneath human dignity, in my point of view, that he's choosing to use Venezuelans in particular to make this point.
It seems to me that politicians, especially as of in recent years, Republican politicians have often stood in Doral, stood in Weston, and
Right.
talked about their support for the Venezuelan community, have denounced
Exactly.
Maduro,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of Venezuelans who support Governor DeSantis. You and I have spoken about that.
Yes, and Republicans as well, because they have, you know, as well as Democrats who have, you know, really stand up and defended Venezuelans who are fleeing an authoritarian dictatorship. So to us, this trauma is very real. And we, you know, we expect our leaders and our elected officials to not, you know, use it in this way.
You think he's exploiting the pain and suffering of the Venezuelan
pain
people?
and suffering and the trauma of the Venezuelan people for his own political gain. You know, these are children, these are families. He's effectively, you know, almost like cattle trafficking them from one state to another. Where does he get the right to do this? I mean, just asking, like, why? Why does he think he is entitled to insert himself? I mean, I agree with you. Federal immigration policies and the system, you know, needs to be addressed, ideally in a bipartisan way. And there are many things that could be done to facilitate, you know, the processing of asylum seekers, and to make, you know, and to get them to the places where they will be most welcome and where there are systems in place that will receive them and help them integrate into the community. One of such places has been Florida. But what does the governor choose to do from the beginning? And since over the course of the last year, he's adopted anti-immigrant policies, from withdrawing the licenses, or not refusing to renew their licenses to shelters that shelter unaccompanied minors. This puts minors in an even more precarious situation if they're not enabled to be cared for by Catholic charities or the other faith-based organizations. I don't understand, honestly, why he has been doubled down. I mean, I can understand it from the point of view of his national ambitions, and I perhaps would not be surprised that he's seeing 2024 as and this is something that will help him raise funds for that purpose. But when it comes to the Venezuelan community and the Venezuelan community in Miami and in Florida, this is not going unnoticed. Absolutely not.
Is there a political price that the governor could pay for this in Florida? Or do you think he believes he's just so far ahead that it doesn't matter if he loses some support in the Venezuelan community?
I don't have a crystal ball. I really don't. But what I do know is that this was cruel. This is unacceptable. This is morally repulsive. And I hope our future leaders, treat all immigrants better.